Hi, and welcome back to Gatecrashers. On today's show, we have a extremely special guest. We are joined by David Yost, who played Billy Cranston, aka the Blue Ranger on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. David, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Very excited to have you.
Thank you.
So, we're like pretty hard-hitting journalists, so we like to open up our interviews with a pretty tough question, and here it comes. What's your favorite sandwich?
Well, I probably am like most Americans. I don't know. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich would be my favorite sandwich.
Oh, all right. So to get a little deeper into that one, what type of jelly do you like?
Well, it depends on the time of year. I range from like a triple berry mix. There's times where I just want to have blueberry jam, and then there's times where I just want to have strawberry jam. So it just depends on the mood, but it usually I watch it. Also, I have a house in California and I have a house in Massachusetts. So when I'm at the house in Massachusetts, I tend to have a different type of jelly. I don't know why. It just seems to work out that way. Usually on the East Coast, I eat blueberry jelly, and on the West Coast, I eat strawberry jelly.
Well, a jelly connoisseur.
As well as a peanut butter connoisseur. So, but I always find it interesting because when I travel to other countries and, I do a lot of Comic-Cons around the world, and I just say, I just need a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It helps me go, keep going. It gives me energy. And they look at me like I'm the craziest person. Like they just don't get the concept of peanut butter and jelly. Like in the United Kingdom, down to Brazil, Mexico, they're like, what? So I just find it interesting that it seems to be a very American concept.
Huh. I did not know that. Good to know.
I remember watching a video on YouTube of Irish people being very anti-peanut butter.
Yep. I think they're probably all about the Vegemite. They seem to like that kind of stuff over there, which I'm anti-Vegemite.
I'll go on that train with you. I'll be on that too.
Fair. All right, so as our first guest who has merchandise with their likeness and countless numbers of action figures of themselves, how does that feel?
Well, I would say it's pretty surreal. It's also extremely humbling. It was something that I it never crossed my mind going into Power Rangers that I would have so many action figures made in my likeness or based off of a character that I played. And that it's continued on, all these years later. Here we're coming up soon to our 30-year anniversary, and they're still making action figures in my likeness as well as the original cast likeness. So, it's an honor. It's humbling, and it's a little weird, but so cool because, most actors that come to LA, to Hollywood, to make it, they would die to have like just one action figure, but so the fact that we've been so blessed by this gift is awesome.
You mentioned weird, so what's the weirdest thing that they've made in your likeness?
Well, for me, I don't know that there's anything weird that they've made in my likeness, but the way that they often show my likeness is upsetting or frustrating at times. Like the very first action figures that ever came out of the original cast of Power Rangers, they put our pictures on the boxes of the action figures, and the pictures that they used were just test photos from the original pilot that were used in a wardrobe setting, had nothing to do with like a professional photo shoot for the toys or anything like that. So it was just sort of like, this is what we want the characters to look like, dress like. And anyways, my hair was completely greased down. We weren't in makeup. I wasn't anyways. The guys usually weren't in makeup. And so my face is shiny, my hair is really greasy, and I have these brown, thick glasses on that never made it to the series. So it was sort of really, I don't know, when I saw that picture, I was like, oh my gosh, why would they use that? Billy doesn't even look like that. That was just sort of a test shoot, and these weren't professional photos. They were just, photos used by the wardrobe department. And so, that's kind of weird when they don't really care about the actor or maybe the actor's ego or vanity. They just care about getting the product out, and we have these pictures laying around, let's just use these. And then even now in 2020, Hasbro just put out their Lightning collection versions of our action figures, and the one that they used, the Billy, kind of looks like, to me, either Mike Myers or Estelle Getty from the Golden Girls. Gosh, you could have really helped me out here, but they chose not to. But anyways, I'll survive. And it was Mike Myers from the Austin Powers movies. I should have said that, but yeah. So those are the weird parts of it, like your ego. I can only speak for me. My ego and my vanity gets the best of me sometimes, because it's kind of like, it's disappointing on one level because you want your action figure to look really, really good. And then you see like the manufacturers kind of go in a different way, and you're like, why? That kind of thing.
So for a little ego boost, do you have a favorite thing that was made with you on it?
I think so. I mean, the Funko Pops, I don't know, we have 5 or 6 different versions of Funko Pops, but the ones that are true likeness, there's a Funko Pop of Billy that's wearing glasses. I really, really like that one. And then the Loyal company called the Loyal Subjects also put out like their little action figures, and I really liked those as well. So, I mean, there are some that make up for the bad. So, I mean, it's not a total loss, but so Funko Pop and Loyal Subjects, I feel like they did me right, and I 100% appreciate them.
So with things like that, and you're no stranger to the convention circuit, what's it like seeing someone dressed and cosplaying as you?
Well, obviously it's a huge honor, and it's extremely humbling. It's pretty cool to know that people resonate with your character. They can relate to your character. They like your character so much so that they want to cosplay as your character. So, it's a huge honor, and it just makes my heart get really big and full of love. So with that, like with those conventions and things like that, getting to meet all of your fans from around the world, what does that experience feel like? Like even now, almost 30 years later, knowing that you've connected with people so much? Well, I mean, it's really hard to put it all into perspective or even really comprehend the magnitude that the original cast of Power Rangers has had on so many people throughout the world. When you really step back and you start thinking, wow, not only was the show huge in America, but I go to Brazil and people recognize me, or I'm in Ecuador and people recognize me. I'm in the UK, I'm in France, I'm in Belgium, and people know who I am. So that's pretty crazy. And then to hear the stories, I mean, this is what is the biggest reward of being part of the original cast of the Power Rangers, is that we hear so many stories about how Power Rangers influenced people's lives, whether it be from, I became a martial artist, I became a gymnast, I became a dancer, or in relation to Billy, I saw that Billy was smart and he had friends. So that gave me confidence to go out and make friends. Or I saw that Billy was smart and he wasn't the best at martial arts, but I saw him taking lessons and his friends were teaching him martial arts. So I decided to enroll in martial arts. So things like that. And then also with Billy, I have fans that have gone on to become paleontologists, doctors, scientists. They tell me things that I can't even comprehend. And I have to sort of lean over and say, hey, you guys, I I only played smart on TV. I'm not smart in real life, so I have no idea what you're talking about, but I think that's amazing. That's such an honor to know that my character and the other characters influence people throughout their childhood into their adulthood, and even help them, figure out what they wanted to do as a career. So it's so humbling. And then sort of, it's not really on the flip side, but still along those lines, we hear stories from people and kids like, I didn't come from the best home environment, but Power Rangers was my one saving grace. And I saw that the Power Rangers were good kids, and that's what I wanted to be. So it helped me keep moving forward. Or I came from an abusive household, but I would sit down and I watch Power Rangers, and that was like the half hour a day that I felt good about myself. So to get to hear those kind of stories and know that the characters in that show were making people feel hopeful and making people feel good is such an honor. And it really on a human level strikes such a chord. And I'm just glad and honored that I was able to be a part of something like that.
Wow, that's incredible to hear, especially like the people who are inspired to go on to do like things where they're helping other people, which is incredible. To segue into something a little less emotional, I have to ask personally, what was your workout routine like during filming?
Well, I mean, it was difficult to work out outside of the job for the most part, because we work 12 to 15-hour days. So, I mean, our real workouts, I would say, came from the fight scenes that we would have to do, or the rehearsals that we were involved in. But I would still, like, leading up to the movie, I was trying to go to the gym and lift weights a lot more than I had been. And I would run and just try to do at least like a half hour of some type of cardio, just to sort of keep with it. But, being on Power Rangers, it's a physically demanding show in a lot of ways. And so, I think that was part of why a lot of us liked it. Not only were we getting to act and we had that aspect of it, but we also had to be physically challenged. And it was a physically demanding job where we were constantly having to, if we were in between scenes, they'd be like, okay, you need to go choreograph your fight for tomorrow, go over there with the stunt people, blah, 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 blah. So there was always things like that going on. But that was, for me anyways, my core workout.
So for your clothing company, Affirmative Clothing Company, as your About section says, was made out of wanting to instill some positivity into the world. Was there some event that made you go, oh, the world really could use this right now?
Well, I think it's just from playing a character like Billy, who often, we saw him on the TV show being bullied and picked on by Bulk and Skull. And often, in the beginning, Billy didn't have a lot of confidence in himself. And so, over the course of the show, you saw Billy grow and he became more confident and he became a better fighter. So I just always felt like, I keep hearing stories from people that kind of can relate to situations like that. And so I just thought, well, if I'm going to do a clothing company, and it's sort of a nod to Power Rangers, I do want to make sure that it is sending a message into the world of, in what we say is embrace who you are, believe in who you are, affirm who you are. So it's really about embracing everything about yourself, whether you like it or not, but just, embrace all that you are because you're perfect as you are. And then believe in who you are. Just means like there's nothing that you can't do. And as long as you put your mind to it, you have to believe in yourself. So believe in who you are, and then affirm who you are is going out in the world and taking action. So, I just really wanted to be about that and, about self-care and self-love and, not letting the haters get to you and believing that you can do all things. It's not always going to be easy, but if you keep pushing through, you can. And so I just want people to feel proud when they wear any type of affirmative clothing company, because to me, that means they're out in the world and they're affirming themselves.
I will say that I bought the Something is Killing the Children gator mask, and it's the most comfortable mask I've worn since the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear. My my business partners would be very happy to hear that, as well as Boom Studios as well, who kind of launched that through us.
So we do have a couple fan questions before we get into some other stuff. What was your experience like making the movie versus making the television show?
Well, it's just on a different scale, I guess, and budget as well. So for the movie, we had a much larger budget. We were shooting it with 20 Fox, which was one of the major one of the major studios back in the 90s. So, it just put everything on a grander scale. The command center was huge, and we had these amazing sets built, and, we're fighting a skeleton of a dinosaur. We're fighting these flying birds, the Tengu warriors, and the Ivan Ooze character, and all the Oozettes that we fought. Everything was just like so much grander. And to go to Australia and film that. It was supposed to take 3 months, but it ended up taking 6 months. So it was a long process to film it in some ways. But just like the TV show, a lot of long, hard days. And I don't know, it was just fun, I think, because we were all so young. And for a lot of us, it was the first time kind of being outside of the country, at least so far away from the United States. It's a 14-hour flight to Sydney, Australia. So, that's like an experience in itself. And then just getting to be over there and experiencing a different country and culture and all that was amazing. So, but I mean, overall, it would be budget and the grandness of, the sets and the costumes. Obviously our Power Ranger costumes were so much different than just the plain spandex that we wore on the TV show. I really love our movie costumes from 1995. I think they still hold up to this day, and I often think that they look better than some of the CGI stuff that we see. So, if anything, I'm really proud. I'm really proud of those in getting to wear them. I will say that our Ninjetti outfits were such a pain to wear back then because we were literally tied into them, and your boots laced all the way up in the back, and the arm guards that we wore had to be laced up. So we each had our own dresser, maybe 2 dressers for just those outfits alone, and they would tie us into those. So, if you had to go to the bathroom, good luck, because it would take a long time to get those untied and then tie you back up. So stuff like that. I mean, it looked cool, and it was a lot of fun to film, though, at the end of the day.
So this is another question for me personally. How were the other suits comfortable?
The other suits, like the TV show suits?
TV or the movie?
Well, the TV show suits are extremely comfortable, because it's sort of like being naked. Spandex is not very forgiving. I mean, it is very forgiving in some ways, but, so that part of it was comfortable. What wasn't comfortable was the helmets. So they were very hot and very hard to breathe out of and hard to see out of. That was the part that made the TV show suits not fun. But the movie suits, although they looked amazing, were extremely uncomfortable. They were extremely heavy. The guys' suits weighed around 35 pounds, I believe, and the girls were around 25 pounds. And so you had all that weight on you, and, when you're working a 12-hour day, it's not always fun to wear that much weight. But, poor pitiful us, the lead actors. I mean, I feel more bad for our stunt doubles that had to wear the same suits and perform, the fighting action scenes in helmet, to make us look good. I mean, they had it a lot worse than we did. So kudos to them, and I'm obviously very thankful to them. And hopefully, I still hear amazing stories about how people still love the movie to this day. So we did something right.
Yeah. I can tell you both of us are huge fans as well.
Good.
And so with movies, did you have any thoughts on the 2007 iteration of Billy?
2017?
Yeah, what did I say, 2007? 2017.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love R.J. Kyler, who played Billy in the 2017 movie. I thought he did an amazing job, and he really brought the character to life, and I really feel like he stole the movie. It really kind of centered around Billy's character, whether it was meant to do that or not. I don't know. But he's an amazing actor. He's super talented. He's super nice in real life, and he's really down to earth. And I couldn't have been more proud. I often say I'm a proud papa because I was really blown away, and I was just really happy that he did such an amazing job.
So this is another one of those hard-hitting ones. Can you still do a flip?
Hard hitting might be the right word for that. I would probably hit the ground really hard. No, I'm quite a bit older. I don't try anymore. I imagine if I really practiced and worked at it, I probably could, but I just, you'll see. When you start getting older, your body's like, I don't think that's necessary anymore. So, it's just something that I didn't keep up with after I left Power Rangers. I feel like I sort of closed the chapter on my flipping days and in my gymnastics days, and I didn't really keep up with it. But if it was something that I had really wanted to keep up with, I'm sure I could do it. So if I practice, probably.
That's fine, because I've never opened that chapter of my life to the flipping, so...
Well, it's never too late.
Guess I'll start right after this.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our fan questions did deal with some of the things you dealt with through your life, and we spoke about this before. I just wanted to make sure it's okay. So, after leaving the franchise due to some harassment, what led you to accept Power Rangers back into your life again years later, such as like con appearances and things like that?
Well, I mean, regardless of what went on behind the scenes of Power Rangers, I mean, Power Rangers is always going to be part of my life. It's something that I can't escape. It's something that I am, to this day, every day, even wearing masks during a pandemic, I'm recognized on the street and say, oh my God, I loved Power Rangers. I loved your character. Thank you. So, I mean, there's no escaping it, period. It's part of who I am, and it's obviously made me who I am. So there's no ill will in terms of the fandom of Power Rangers. If anything, that's like the saving grace of my time on Power Rangers, is just knowing that the show has had the longevity that it's had, and that the fans just continue to be there and give us so much love and support us. And, it's like I said, it's so humbling and it's such an honor. So I don't have ill feelings about Power Rangers in general.
So do you feel like a gay male ranger is long overdue?
If it's I don't know if it's, obviously it'd be nice to see a gay character. I know that they hinted to the fact that Trini in the 2017 movie was a lesbian. I don't know if I got that from watching the movie. I got that she was a teenager that was questioning, which is what I consider the Q to be in LGBTQ. Some people think it's queer. I consider it questioning. She's questioning her sexuality. And so, I thought that was a nice step forward. Obviously, it would be great, I think, for gay people in general to see a gay character, a gay superhero that they can relate to and, feel like, oh, I'm being represented. That's awesome. So, yeah, at some point it would be nice, but I don't know that it needs to. For me, I just don't like things to be, and maybe this is something that I have to sit and think about still, but I just don't know that it needs to be overt. But it would be nice to know, like, oh yeah, he's gay, but not necessarily make it a big deal. Just treat it as a normal.
It's part of their character. It's not something that, it is who the character is. It's not something they need to be like outwardly showing, unless it's a character who comes from like a background that they have a hard time coming out.
Right.
So, in spite of what you've faced for who you are, you've become a major force for good in the Power Rangers franchise. Is there anything you want to say to like the LGBTQ youth who may be struggling, or any message you want them to take away from your work?
I mean, there's, I guess, a lot I can say, but again, it kind of comes back to, the reason why I sort of came out in 2010 was because there was we were seeing such an upsurge of teenagers, more specifically committing suicide because they were struggling with their sexuality and were having a difficult time being gay, whether it be they were being bullied at school. They had family members or friends saying it's against God, you're a sinner. Just things that just shouldn't be going on in the world right now. And that was really upsetting to me because I'd been through so much of the madness of, people making me feel bad about who I am, making me feel that I wasn't good enough because of this aspect of myself of quote unquote being gay. And I sympathize with anybody right now that may be feeling less than, because they're being told that, or sometimes it's a thought that we as gay people have sometimes, and we don't even know where it comes from, but it comes from society and just like little things that we hear throughout our life that we don't realize have such a dramatic impact on us. And I can remember when I was probably 12 years old, I'm trying to think, maybe 13 years old, I had gone to my family friends, like we were coming from church, whatever, my parents, my sister and I, and we went to our family friends who, same kind of nuclear family, a mother, a father, two boys and a girl, whatever. But anyways, we were standing in their front yard and a teenage neighbor pulled up across the street. And, I remember the guy saying, oh, yeah, he just told his parents he was gay, and kind of laughing about it. And then the wife said, oh, yeah, he always wears purple, and laughing about it. And I can just remember thinking in my head, like, wow, I guess, you get made fun of if you're gay, and this whole time I'm like, I've known since I was 3 that I was gay, but it was something that I really hadn't ever truly accepted yet, or at that point. But I can just remember, like, looking back on that was such a pivotal moment of making me shut down and hate myself. And, it kills me that just like a little snide comment like that can literally change somebody's life and can literally make somebody hate themselves so much. So it's crazy. So it's just so important, for me to say my story and then to, again, put out a message like embrace who you are, believe in who you are, affirm who you are, because there's 100% nothing wrong with you. So hopefully that answers your question to some degree. Yeah,
I'm very thankful we got to talk to you. I think it's an important message that everyone needs to hear, because I don't think enough people say it. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Of course.
So to kind of end this with a positive note, I'll let Jake ask his favorite question.
Oh, so if you had to make a Rube Goldberg machine, what would its purpose be?
Oh, oh God, you're challenging. A what machine? A Rube Goldberg?
Yeah, so the things that one thing sets off another thing, and it does like a simple task at the end, like dominoes falling.
I get it. I'm just like, but I was like, Jake, you have to understand. I only played a smart person on TV. I'm not really smart in real life. So like, you're asking me challenging questions. So I don't know. That's such a good question. I wish I would have known ahead of time so I could have really thought about something exciting and really dramatic. So something that sets off another thing.
It just fixes a minor inconvenience.
It would be. I was just trying to think of what I hate the most, and I would want some kind of machine that would, like, I'm particular for rules, and things I hate in life are people that don't pick up their dog's poop. And when I see it, I'll often stop my car and I'll roll down my window and I'll say, "Are you going to pick that up?" And often people get really confrontational. They tell me to F off and you're not the police, that kind of stuff. So I would like to create something so that when I ask people to pick it up, it just makes them do it. No confrontation. So I don't know if it's a clamp that somehow my voice sets off something in the air that puts a clamp on these people's mouths and makes them bend down and pick up their dog's poop. Something like that.
Well, I cannot say.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
The whole point of that question is because I want to know what kind of thing bothers people enough to where they would go through an elaborate process to get rid of it.
Yeah, that would be one thing I would actually spend time working on.
I don't think there's any wrong answer to that question.
It's all about procrastination.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But seriously, I can't believe we're talking. One of the highlights of my life so far. So where can people find you online and your brand?
Well, the two, I don't do Facebook anymore, really. There's a Facebook account out there that's mine, but I really don't go on it that often. But I would say Twitter, and on Twitter, it's David_Yost. That's where you'll find me being a lot more political. And then Instagram, which is official David Yost. That's where you'll find a lot more Power Ranger stuff and more lighthearted, fun stuff. So those two things. And if you're interested in looking at any of the Affirmative Clothing Company stuff that's out there, you can go to affirmativecc.com. Again, affirmativecc.com. And, there's a bunch of products from masks to gaiters, as you said, to T-shirts, tank tops, jackets, tumblers, beanies. I'm trying to think, compression sleeves, compression shirts, all kinds of socks. We have it all. You can go on there and check it out. And, if you buy anything,
go there.
Go there. And if when you wear Affirmative Clothing Company, just always feel proud.
And you can find us at GateCrashersPod on Twitter and Instagram. We'll see you next week.
Gatecrashers.